Hi everyone, and welcome to TS Fibro. Today's video is going to be on number 16 from the Introduction to Fibromyalgia, the video that I did. It's probably all the way at the bottom. If you haven't seen it already, you can watch it. And then I have 1 through now, number 16, which is increased overall sensitivity or also sensory overload in fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. Sensory overload is a common problem with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome, ME or CFS. It's a symptom that can have a significant effect on your daily life and stop you from doing a lot of things you enjoy. Sensory overload can make you feel panicky, confused, and overwhelmed. It can result from a variety of things, and the triggers can vary from one of us to another. Everybody's different, so what affects one person might not affect the other one, and vice versa. Hypersensitivity and sensory overload. Sensory overload may be linked to hypersensitivity, which is believed to be a core mechanism of fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. It means that our bodies react strongly to all kinds of input: noise, bright or flashing lights, crowds of people, strong smells, a chaotic environment, or multiple things competing for your attention. Our brains appear to have a hard time processing a lot of input at once, possibly because of the dysfunction of the neurotransmitter serotonin. Some researchers believe another problem in our brains impairs something called inhibition. Inhibition helps your brain filter out things that are unimportant. When you answer the phone, it should help you ignore the television or your family's conversation. It should help you ignore repetitious noises, like a loud beep. It should, after a short time, stop you from noticing the buzz of fluorescent lights. However, our lack of inhibition means we can't tune things out. Because of that, our senses bombard our brain with information and our brains can't handle it. The result is that you can't focus your attention on things that are important. It becomes hard to think, so you may forget what you were doing or frequently lose your train of thought. It can also result in a panic attack, which can involve a pounding heart, sweating, trembling, dizziness, tingling, and fear. Later, you may have increased pain or fatigue. Panic attacks can sometimes lead to a major symptom flare. Over time, you may begin to fear having panic attacks when you encounter situations that have triggered them before. That can make you afraid to go to certain places or put yourself in particular environments or situations. This is one way in which our illness can lead to isolation. Handling sensory overload. When you begin to feel overloaded, the best thing to do is get yourself out of the situation and go to somewhere quiet. If it's not possible, you may be able to take some deep breaths and calm your body and mind. Some of us learn how to mentally talk ourselves down from that state, but it takes time and practice. My way to, when I get to feel like I'm panicking, I take a deep breath, a few of them, and mine is to say over and over, I trust you, Jesus. Holy Spirit, guide my way. That's my way. And I just repeat it over and over. So you can find your way on how to deal if you feel like you're going to come into a panic attack. We don't have treatments specifically aimed at sensory overload, but we can treat the anxiety it leads to. A lot of people with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome take anxiety medication. Some people say that they have luck with certain supplements to calm them down. Always talk to your doctor. Don't take it upon yourself to think that something will help. Talk to him. He'll tell you. Remember that treatments need time to work, so taking them when you're in a crisis may not help. You may have better luck taking something to counter anxiety before going into a potentially overwhelming situation. If sensory overload and panic are regular problems for you, you may want to talk to your doctor about a daily supplement or medication regime. Many drugs that are prescribed for fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue syndrome can also help with anxiety. Avoiding certain situations may become necessary for you. For example, if a crowded grocery store is a common trigger, you may need to shop during slow times, such as in the morning or later at night. Avoidance can be necessary, but it can also become a problem if you find yourself avoiding too much, such as at any place that might be noisy or crowded. If you find yourself becoming isolated by avoidance or missing things that are important to you, you may benefit from professional counseling. The important thing to remember is that with treatment and management techniques, this symptom is manageable. It can take time to figure out what works best for you, but in the end, you can take back control of your life. The panic disorder in fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. People with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome often experience anxiety symptoms and panic attacks. Panic disorder can be debilitating and have a major impact on your life. It can make you afraid of everyday situations like going to work, and it can strain your relationships and cause you to avoid things that might trigger symptoms. When you add this to fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome, which are debilitating on their own, the problems can compound each other. Sometimes symptoms are mild and don't require treatment. You just learn to deal with them. Other times, though, when they're more severe, they may be in overlapping conditions such as a panic disorder. If that's the case with you, you'll need proper diagnosis and treatment in order to stop being held captive by anxiety. Even if your panic and anxiety symptoms doesn't meet the criteria for a formal diagnosis, certain treatments and coping strategies may be beneficial to you. Therefore, it is important to discuss these symptoms with your doctor and make some lifestyle changes. Panic attacks in fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. Panic attacks are characterized by feelings of fear, dread, and uncomfortable physical symptoms. These attacks are not classified as a mental health disorder on their own, but can typically occur as a part of a mental illness or medical condition. Panic attacks are classified into two groups, or two types, expected and unexpected. Here's what you need to know about each one. According to the diagnostic criteria, panic attacks are experienced as a sudden sense of fear and dread. These symptoms are accompanied by at least 4 other mental, emotional, and physical symptoms. The 4 or more other symptoms may include heart palpitations or accelerated heart rate, excessive sweating, trembling or shaking, shortness of breath or a smothering sensation, feeling of choking, chest pain or discomfort, nausea or abdominal pain, feeling dizzy, unsteady, lightheaded, or faint, chills or hot flashes, derealization and or depersonalization, fear of losing control or going crazy, fear of dying, feeling of numbness or tingling sensations. Okay, the 2 symptoms that I mentioned, depersonalization and derealization. Depersonalization, the hallmark of depersonalization is the sensation of being detached from your body, as if you're no longer inhabiting your physical self, but rather observing it from a distance. You may feel as if you have no control of your actions. This terrifying feeling often is accompanied by thoughts and fears of losing touch with reality or losing control over yourself. Depersonalization can cause frightening physical sensations such as numbness or tingling. It can also be a symptom of another mental illness such as depression, a result of drug abuse, and the side effect of anti-anxiety medication. Derealization. Derealization involves feeling detached from your surroundings. You may feel disconnected from external objects in your immediate environment, including other people. Even your closest family members or friends may seem like strangers. Often people describe derealization as feeling spaced out or foggy. People and objects in the environment may begin to seem unreal, distorted, or cartoon-like. Others report feeling trapped by their environment or viewing their surroundings as surreal or unfamiliar. It could feel as if you're in a strange country or on another planet. Coping with derealization. If you experience derealization, try using your senses in any way you can to bring yourself back to reality. Pinch the skin on the back of your hand. Hold something that's cold or really warm, but not hot. And focus on the sensation of the temperature. Count or name items in the room. Try to keep your eyes moving so that you don't zone out or start to lose touch again. Coping with depersonalization. If you're experiencing depersonalization, slow your breathing. Often during an anxiety attack, breathing becomes rapid and shallow and interferes with the blood flow to your brain. Take very long, slow, deep breaths, focusing on sustaining the exhale as well as the inhale. And since depersonalization causes feelings of detachment from others, reach out to a friend or loved one to talk to. Let them know what you're feeling and ask them to keep talking to you. It doesn't matter what you talk about as long as it keeps you grounded in the reality of the moment. As symptoms of a panic disorder, depersonalization and derealization may feel very scary and disturbing, but they aren't considered either dangerous or life-threatening. Once the panic disorder is being treated, panic attacks and the symptoms they bring on should no longer arise. A qualified mental health professional who you feel comfortable with and who accepts your insurance or has fees that are in your budget that can help you deal with the panic disorder. Your general practitioner or local mental health referral service are good places to start to look for a therapist or psychiatrist. Treatment of panic disorders typically involve medications for the panic disorder and psychotherapy, or both. Sometimes it takes a bit of trial and error to craft an effective treatment plan for mental health problems such as panic disorder, so be patient. Simply seeking help will likely have you feel better, and don't be embarrassed to ask for help. If you need to see a psychiatrist or psychologist, reach out to them. If you have insurance, you can call your insurance and they'll let you know if it covers it and how much they cover. But get help. I mean, there's nothing wrong with going to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist usually gives out the medication to help with your panic attacks, and the psychologist is someone that you can just talk to. Or if you have a therapist somewhere around, a lot of times you can go to a therapist and they're not real expensive, but please don't try to treat this on your own. Get some help. Panic attacks can also come with the fight or flight symptom. During a panic attack, the body's alarm system is triggered without the presence of any danger. It is the absence of identifiable danger that actually intensifies the fear associated with a panic attack. If there is an identifiable danger, We understand the symptoms. We can then fear the danger, not the symptoms. However, if there is no danger and someone experiences sweating and changes in the heart rate, breathing, vision, hearing, it would seem logical to fear the symptoms, even believing they are life-threatening. Physically, your body is telling you to get ready. You are in grave danger. But how do you prepare psychologically for certain danger that is unseen? It may be that you assign the symptoms mistaken meaning. It may be that you immediately flee the situation as if it were dangerous. But these thoughts and actions don't get you out of danger. They only reinforce and strengthen the association of a fear that is not based on an actual threat. Sensory overload can be hard to deal with. Anxiety, panic attacks, it's just overwhelming. I know I was watching a clip of some music and they had in the background flashing lights and it just kept flashing. I couldn't watch it. I mean, I just started getting really nervous and really anxious, so I had to get off there and then just breathe. And I got off there fast, and that's what you need to do. If you find something that's triggering you, get away from it or breathe or get your technique down before you have one. What are you going to do? Who are you going to call? That way, you're not having to make those decisions at the time of a panic attack. You already know what to do. So, and when you feel it coming on, don't wait. Pick up that phone or do your breathing or whatever it is that you decide that can calm you down and bring you out of it. But make sure you talk to your doctor if you're having a panic attack, because they have medications that can calm it down and you can manage it. Okay, everyone, that was my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button for me. And hit that notification bell if you want notified of my new videos coming up. I pray for a cure, and I pray you have a pain-free day. God bless everyone.